It's no secret that I'm a big sucker for a wholesome internet story. Sure, the cases where 4chan does something crazy or someone gets their identity stolen on Twitter, yeah, those are interesting cases for sure. But whenever I see the internet rallying behind someone in need, it just gets your boy in his feels, man. Which brings us to today's story. Back in 2017, an elderly man posted a classified ad to GumTree.com. His request? He simply wanted someone to go fishing with him. Apparently, this old-timer often found himself lonely after his wife had passed years prior. A close friend, his former fishing buddy, provided him company in these later years, but unfortunately, that buddy had passed away as well from a tragic car accident, leaving this man turning to the internet in the hopes of finding companionship. And companionship he would find. This is the story of how Ray got a new fishing buddy. I want to give a quick shout out to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark is a VPN app that works across all of your devices. It protects your IP address from prying eyes, and it also hides your internet browsing activity from targeted advertisers and your internet service provider. Surfshark gives you that extra layer of anonymity when you're browsing the web. With Surfshark, you can also change your server location at will, making it appear as if you're using the internet from somewhere else in the world. There are many uses for this feature, but one of the most popular is changing your server location so you can bypass region firewalls on streaming content. Is there a movie you want to watch that's region or country specific on certain platforms? Change your server location and you just might be able to watch it. You guys can get Surfshark VPN 83% off plus 3 extra months free by clicking my link in the description box. Big shout out to Surfshark. Now let's get on to the story. Our story begins in early January of 2017 with this older gentleman from Lewiston, South Australia, Ray Johnstone. And I know it looks like John Stone for you American viewers, but it's pronounced Johnston in the Australian dialect. 75-year-old Mr. Ray Johnstone was a retired workman who was living off of his pension. His wife had passed away years prior, and the man spent a lot of time alone in his house in this semi-rural area. One can imagine that such a lifestyle could attract a feeling of loneliness, and well, according to a post posted by Ray to GumTree.com on January 19th, it seemed like Ray was experiencing such an emotion, or at the very least a feeling of boredom. For those who don't know, GumTree.com is basically Craigslist, and under GumTree's fishing gear and equipment section, Mr. Ray submits this post titled, "My name is Ray Johnstone, looking for a fishing mate." He categorizes the listing as used. "My name is Ray Johnstone, Australian. I'm a widowed pensioner who is looking for a fishing mate. My previous fishing mate is now deceased. I am a land-based fisherman. I have all the gear for all types of fish that is required for land-based fishing. What I want is a fishing mate in a similar position to myself who also wants someone to go fishing with. I am willing to share all costs, petrol, bait, and should you happen to own a boat, willing to pay all ramp fees, but happy if you are also a land-based fisherman. Contact me at my email address or phone me to arrange a meeting to see if we could get along with each other. Thanking you, Ray Johnstone. P.S. I live at Lewiston, South Australia." In addition to including a photo of himself, he also includes several photos of some of his favorite fishing spots. Needless to say, this man's post was very frank. He was being upfront and honest with the internet that he wanted some companionship. This is by no means a sob story, but it does invoke sympathy for the guy. It painted a picture of a lonely old-timer with cabin fever who wanted nothing more than to get out of the house and enjoy a day by the water, participating in one of his favorite pastimes. Sure, he could possibly go fishing alone, but this is an older guy that might not be able to get around as well, and everybody knows a buddy makes everything better. Perhaps some of you have experienced something like this, having a passion for a particular hobby or activity, but no one to share the love of that passion with. It can be spiritually devastating over time. Now, generally speaking, the internet has a soft spot for older folks online. A lot of real-world values get lost in translation online, but respecting your elders still seems to be present on the internet. And with that said, this simple plea for a fishing pal quickly started getting attention on GumTree and would later spread to other areas of the internet that allowed for comments and discussion. And one thing soon became clear. Thousands online were willing to be Ray's fishing pal, and they were behind him all the way. Just spent the last 20 minutes crying over a wee old man's post on GumTree looking for a fishing buddy. I love this. Let's find Ray a fisher friend. I know nothing about fishing, but hashtag I'll fish with Ray. Literally crying about this. Someone go fishing with him. Hey Ray, if you're ever in Canada, I'll gladly fish for largemouth or pike and pickerel with you. My treat. Hashtag I'll fish with Ray. Hashtag I'll fish with Ray. Ray, I'll take you out on my boat to catch redfish if you come to Louisiana. This now viral GumTree post that contained Ray's email and phone number was rapidly spreading around the internet, resulting in him getting hundreds of calls and emails. None would actually promise Ray to go down to South Australia and fish with him, but many would give him their kind words and wished him the best of luck on his fishing buddy quest.
Well, I started getting a few phone calls this morning. I thought it was just because of my age. This is something I'd never ever expected.
You've made some good mates through fishing?
No, but it sounds like I will be.
Support for Ray was everywhere. People were even creating GoFundMes for Ray with the hopes of getting him an expensive fishing charter and nice gear, one of which actually raised over 2,000 Australian dollars, which was paid to Ray by check according to the fund manager. Yeah, so people were offering their kind words, invitations from halfway around the world, and of course money, but no one had satisfied what the GumTree.com classified ad was asking for. A fishing buddy, just someone to go down there and go fishing with him. It didn't seem like anyone was truly committed to setting up a trip. Though after several weeks of many empty promises from people online, one man would finally step up and give Ray Johnstone the fishing trip he'd longed for since his old fishing buddy had tragically passed away years prior. This is Matty Batsalinas. This, at the time, 22-year-old carpenter and fishing enthusiast from Brisbane reached out to Ray after discovering his classified ad. After speaking over the phone, the two would form a friendship and worked out a trip, and Matty flew Mr. Johnston hundreds of miles out to the Queensland coast. It was a 2-day tour of Stradbroke Island, and was likely one of the most memorable fishing experiences of Ray's angling career. After the trip, Ray and his family were extremely grateful for the act of kindness, and reflecting on the event, Daily Mail reports Matty had this to say: "The weather was perfect for their outing, and he said it was incredible to see the elderly man smile." Since Matty wasn't retired himself and indeed lived hundreds of miles away from Ray, he couldn't truly be the permanent replacement fishing buddy that the classified ad was asking for. But needless to say, what he did was truly a touching gesture and likely gave the man hope and optimism that's often fleeting in one's later years. The publicity from this trip got the attention of other anglers who would go on to take Ray on different fishing trips. It seemed like he had a roster of fishermen waiting in the wings to take him out on a boat for a trip. Whatever the case, if Ray Johnstone was ever in need of a fishing buddy again, the internet would be right behind him, ready to cast a line. And that, my friends, is how the internet found Ray a fishing buddy. If you like wholesome stories like this, check out my video about 4chan's Dancing Man. It's a case where a overweight guy was bullied for dancing and the internet rallied behind him to amazing effect. Make sure you slap like on the video, ring that bell, and leave a comment down below letting me know who or what you want me to talk about next? I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.